What is up, everybody? Cliff Ravenscraft here, and I want to welcome you to the Free the Dream webinar. This one is happening on Saturday, January 12th, 2019. This is my third, Stephanie tells me, my third Free the Dream webinar to promote Free the Dream 2019 and its associated online course. Now, of course, I am going to be promoting a live event. That's the purpose of my trying to gather as many people as possible into these webinars. But I want to make sure that you understand right at the get-go, right at the very beginning, that I'm going to give you something of value here today. I hope to encourage you, to educate you, to motivate and inspire you to make some change in your life today as a result of this webinar alone. Before I jump straight into what I have prepared ahead of time to share with you today, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that there is a free session, the free opening keynote address to the Free the Dream online course is available to you. In this story, took $300 that night. Threw it in the trash. By refusing to send the invoice, I threw $300 in the trash because I felt like it was not what I earned. I could have repeated this over and over and over again, and every single time I'm going to refuse to send the invoice. Do you see how it would be impossible for somebody like me to send the invoice with that belief system? Does anybody here think that it's possible with that belief system to send the invoice in that particular situation? Do you understand why I could not go to sleep at night with a good conscience if I would have sent him the invoice? Because that was my model of the world. That's what I believed about life, about business, about everything, about money, all of those things. I'll refuse to send the invoice every single time. But just remember this, all beliefs have consequences. There you go. All beliefs have consequences, my friends. And I got to tell you, it is absolutely true. And in fact, by the way, for those of you who have not yet seen the full talk, the opening keynote address to the Free the Dream online course, you should head over to mindsetanswerman.com/free. Mindsetanswerman.com/free, and you can get absolute 100% free access to that entire 1-hour talk. You'll understand what a belief is. You'll learn how to become aware of the beliefs that you currently don't even know that you have. You'll learn how to discover where those beliefs came from. Then once you become aware of them, if they're a limiting belief that you have that is not serving you in reaching the life for which you were created, how to eliminate those beliefs from your life forever so that you can take different actions that will actually lead you to the life for which you were created. That is all available for free right now at mindsetanswerman.com/free. Now, in that session, for those of you who saw it, you heard me ask the audience, who here makes it a practice to intentionally, on a daily basis, take time and condition your mind so that you are in control of what you believe on a consistent basis? I had reported what I saw from the stage, which was 1/3 of the audience. That means 2/3 of the audience have not intentionally decided to be intentional about what they believe each day, to condition their own mind to believe what they know that they need to believe to achieve the life that they want. Being intentional. And I talk about these things called affirmations. Now, I talked about also in the opening session, I said, hey, if you open up your workbook for Free the Dream, you can go to page 81 in the back of your workbook, and I share with you my own personal daily affirmation file. And there are pages and pages of affirmations. These are the things that I look at on a consistent basis. I use an app on my phone, and it's called Think Up. I talked about this briefly in the video. And what I can do is I can go in here and I can click on this button.
When I am mentoring others, I am always listening to the words that they use. Their words will help me understand their beliefs, values, and their model of the world. I am rich in this present world. However, I will not allow this to make me an arrogant person. I will not put my hope in my financial wealth, which is so uncertain. Instead, I place my hope in God, who richly provides me with everything for my enjoyment. I am committed to doing good, to also being rich in good deeds. I am a generous man who is devoted to sharing.
Every affirmation that's in my daily affirmation file is recorded in my own voice inside this app individually, and I have it set on shuffle. So when I click play, it randomly pulls those individual files and it plays an affirmation. It gives me 5 seconds to meditate and pause and think about that. I can change that duration, by the way. And then it plays the next one random. But what I can tell you is that my consistently conditioning my mind about what I believe helps me to change, well, first of all, what I believe, and it also helps me to change how I feel, what I'm focused on, and as a result of changing what I believe and what I'm focused on, I change the actions that I take in life, and it radically has altered the results I get in every single area of my life. All of that was covered, by the way, in the Free the Dream free opening keynote address at mindsetanswerman.com/free. Daily affirmations, positive affirmations. Now, I got to tell you, there are some people out there that I love and respect, and they kind of poo-poo this idea of affirmations, just positive thinking and stuff like that.
Daily Affirmation with Stuart Smalley. Stuart Smalley is a caring nurturer, a member of several 12-step programs, but not a licensed therapist.
I'm going to do a terrific show today. And I'm going to help people because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
This is more than positive thinking. This isn't just thinking happy thoughts. You know, I look good, I feel good, and doggone it, people like me. This is intentionally me saying, this is what I know to be true. In fact, before I called it Cliff's Daily Affirmation File, when I came away from a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within, I decided I was going to be very intentional about choosing what I believe. And I actually started my daily affirmation file, writing down a list of the things that I choose to believe intentionally and to condition over and over again on a daily basis. And I didn't call it my affirmation file at the beginning. And the reason why is because, well, I had some negative associations to affirmations. Even Tony Robbins will tell you that he doesn't like affirmations. He says affirmations don't work. And he has a different name or a different phrase for what he calls what I'm doing. So, with that being said, I came away from that event and I called it my truth and identity file. This is what I know to be true, and this is what leads me to what my identity in this world is. All right? But let's call it what it is. They're daily affirmations. They are positive affirmations. These are things that I believe to be true, and I will consistently put them on here. By the way, nothing is on this list unless I absolutely believe without any doubt that it's true. So, for those who have come to Free the Dream, you already have access to this workbook. For anybody who's purchased a ticket to Free the Dream 2019, you have access to the online course version of Free the Dream, which the PDF of this entire workbook is there as well. I encourage you to take a look at those affirmations. Today, we're going to talk about 5 different affirmations that are on my list. And I have a theme for you. It is what we are focused on. Focus is very important. There's an entire session titled Three Vital Decisions That We Make Every Moment of Every Day. And those are, what are we focused on? What does it mean? And what actions are we going to take as a result of it? But today I'm going to focus on focus. All right, here's my first affirmation. What I focus on consistently, I tend to manifest in my life. All right, what I focus on consistently, I tend to manifest in my life. Now, if I focus on, I'm very happily married. Stephanie, is it 22 or 23 years? 22 years I've been married to the woman of my dreams, all right? And almost all of those 22 years have been incredibly awesome, right? She says yes as well. Awesome. Now, the reality is that over the 22 years that Stephanie and I have been married, there have been times where we were not on the same page. I know it sounds shocking to believe. There were times that we would have arguments. There were times when I would have expectations of how I thought things should be in our marriage, the things that she should be doing, you know, according to my plan, my rules, my model of the world, you know, how I believe things ought to be. And when things didn't go according to my plan, I wasn't so happy. All right, we could talk about the formula for happiness and how you can choose to be happy all the time. And I know that's a shocking truth to even imagine. Some people are like, okay, Cliff is just over the board here. Well, actually, in the Free the Dream online course, there's an entire session that talks about the formula of happiness and how you can actually choose to be happy and how it actually does work. There's a formula. Anyway, the reality is, though, is that during the 22 years of our marriage, there have been times when Stephanie may have done something that wasn't according to my expectations. And when I focused on my unmet expectations, guess what? I tended to actually manifest more of that kind of behavior, more of that kind of what I was focused on. What I was focused on is like, have you ever had something happen to you where your significant other, maybe your spouse, they do something that wasn't according to your expectation? And it's not like it's happened like a billion times, but it's happening right now. And because you're focused on it, you think, oh, you know what? This has happened before. And then all of a sudden, have you ever thought these words to yourself? Or maybe you might have even spoken them out loud to your spouse. It's like, you always do this. Have you ever been guilty of doing that? Well, the reality is that they don't always do that. If they always did that and that's all they ever did, do you think you'd still be married? Probably not. The reality is there's so many other wonderful things that Stephanie would do that was beyond my wildest expectations. So many things that she did that showed love and went above and beyond what I could ever dream of expecting out of a wife. And you know what? If I choose to focus over here, then I'm basically going to manifest more of that in my life. Why? Because probably I'm going to say, well, I'm going to focus on it and I'm going to dwell on it and I'm going to be angry and I'm going to be snippy and I'm going to be moody. And she's going to say, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing, just leave me alone. And eventually she's going to get it out of me. And then I'm going to tell her what I was focused on. And then she's going to be upset. And she goes, well, I don't know why you expect me to do that in the first place. And then what you focus on, you will tend to manifest in your life. That's just one example. Now, here's another example. If you're focused on how much you're overweight and how much you are consistently overeating and how much you consistently fail to meet your goals of changing when it comes to your health and fitness, if that is your focus, guess what you are going to manifest in your life? Guess what's going to become even more real in your life moving forward? More of the same. If you focus on it, there's this other saying, where focus goes, energy flows. Now, I want to tell you, if you don't believe this, I want to share with you a story. I chose this slide here for a reason. A guy who is dreaming about a car, a dream car. And it's a story about a friend of mine who came and hired me to work with him in a one-day mentoring session. He flew all the way to northern Kentucky, paid me $7,500 for 1 day, 8 hours of one-on-one mentoring here in my studio. The only reason I mention the dollar figure, it will become apparent. It's not to brag or anything like that. It's a part of the story, and I promise it's relevant. We went out to lunch, and on the way to lunch, by the way, this is him. This is Chris Nelson. He says, where are we going to go to lunch? And I says, well, we've got a bunch of options. Let me go make sure that Stephanie is not going anywhere, because if she is, we'll have to Uber somewhere. And I had to explain to him as we were driving to lunch why I didn't have a car. And that's because my oldest daughter had recently got her license, and we gave her the car so that she could, my car, so that she could drive her and her brother and sister to school every day. Anyway, I said, listen, the reality is I'm not a car guy. I work from home. I can't even remember. I can't even think of why I would even need a car. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go out and buy a brand new car or even just even a car. I mean, why? I'm just not a car. He goes, Cliff, you mean you don't have a dream car? And I'm like, no, not really. He goes, well, okay. If I had to dream about a dream car, it's the classic Volkswagen Beetle. All right. I'm like, I would love to own one of those. He goes, really? And he says, why? And so he got me to talking about this dream car of mine and how I've always dreamed of owning an early 70s Volkswagen Beetle. I said, it doesn't matter if it has a little rust or anything like that. I just want one that is in somewhat solid condition that won't fall apart as soon as I go over a bump. And ideally one that when I turn the key, it just starts, because I'm not that guy. I'm not the mechanic guy that's going to open up the hood and say, well, let me squirt some stuff into the carburetor and jiggle a couple cables and I'm going to be able to get this thing. For me, if the car doesn't start, I'm calling AAA and they're going to tow it to somebody who can get it to start. I mean, that's the kind of guy that I am. So I said, I want one that runs, and I was very specific about the year, make, model, and even the color. I said, I'd love to have a green car. It's my favorite color, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter what color it is. I just want an early 70s Volkswagen Beetle. So we had a great conversation about that. After he went back home, he sent me a package in the mail, and inside the package was this card. It said, thank you, Cliff, so much for helping me get started on the road to my dream. In return, I wanted to help you get started with one of yours. Enjoy. Inside of that package was this car. In fact, you can see it right there. It's this car. It's a die-cast car. The hood opens up. I mean, the door, check this out. The door is open. I mean, this thing is so cool. And this thing sat on my desk every single day. And I came in, and before I started my work every day, I would look at this car, and I'm like, yeah, that's so awesome. One of the things that Chris asked me when we were talking about my dream car, the Volkswagen Beetle, he goes, how much are they? Have you ever looked into it? And I said, I have. And he says, well, how much are they? And I said, well, in the condition that I want, I've looked over the years and I've seen them. We're talking somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. All right. And I got to thinking, it's like, wait a second. One day I came into the office and I said, a car that is in about this shape, maybe not as pristine looking as this, but one that would be exactly what I had dreamed of owning, it would cost about $7,500. And I had just made that amount of money in one day. And I'm thinking, why don't I own one of these? And one thing led to another. I started to open up the I went to eBay Motors. I did some searching in the Facebook Marketplace. And lo and behold, I found this car dealership about 25 miles away from here. Maybe 50 miles away. It doesn't matter. 25 to 50 miles away that had an early 70s Volkswagen Beetle, and within 2 weeks of this thing showing up in my driveway, I brought this car home. This is my 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. Her name is Abigail, and she is my dream car, and this car would not be in my garage right now had I not been focused on this on a consistent basis. What you focus on consistently will tend to find its way into your life. I want you to remember that. What you focus on consistently will tend to manifest itself. And if you have a problem with the word manifesting, what you focus on consistently will tend to show up in your life. It's not like, I promise you this, it's not some crazy, like, cosmic energy thing. It's nothing like that. I'm not saying that I just thought about this and then all of a sudden one day I woke up and Stephanie's like, dude, have you looked in the garage? And I'm like, what? And I walked into the garage and there's this beetle in my car, like in the garage. Where did that come? No, it didn't happen like that. No, what happened was I focused on this. I saw this. I started dreaming about it. I started thinking about what life would be like if I was actually in the driver's seat of one of these things. I started to think about the smell of the inside of one of these cars, remembering them from when I was a kid and I used to ride as a passenger in these. I remember sitting as a kid behind the steering wheel of one of these cars in the front seat without the keys in it. And I remember, just pretending I was driving. I remember playing with the gear shifter and pushing down to put it in reverse and all that other stuff. I just started focusing and thinking and dreaming about this, which all of a sudden got me to thinking, well, let me go and look in to see if there's any close by. Let me see how much they are. I wonder if I could afford this. I wonder what life would be. This is a question I ask myself. I wonder what life would be like if, fill in the blank, if I actually owned this. And those thoughts and what I was focused on, what you focus on consistently will tend to show up in your life. How about this one? What I focus on is what I will feel. What I focus on is what I will feel. I chose this image intentionally. Has this ever happened to you? You're going through an entire day. You've got all kinds of stuff happening. You're focused on this work that you're doing. I remember working on Abigail, my Volkswagen Beetle, and I was changing the gas, the filler hose to replace a dry rotted hose that goes from the side of the gas filler tube down into the gas tank. And lo and behold, at the end of the day, I look at my finger. And by the way, that's not my finger. I got that off of a stock footage site. But anyway, I looked at my finger and I noticed that there was a cut. And guess what? That, my friends, was the very first moment I felt it. And it hurt. And I didn't even know it hurt until I focused on it, until I saw it, until I noticed. Has this ever happened to you? Well, guess what? This is true in every area of life. What you focus on is what you will feel. Where focus goes, energy flows. What you're focused on, if you're focused on the pain all of the time, if you're focused on your problems, if you're consistently focused on what's going wrong, you're going to feel all of that. And this is another affirmation on my file. When things do not go according to my expectation, I will toss out my expectation and trade it for appreciation. What that means is that instead of focusing what unmet expectations have happened here, I'm going to choose to focus on something that I'm thankful for. So going back to that idea of maybe something that's happened in the past that Stephanie didn't do that I thought she should do, or she did something that I thought she shouldn't do. All right? I could choose to focus on that. And if I focus, what's that? Just a normal day in the Ravenscraft house, she says. No, if I choose to focus on that, I am going to feel it. I may feel disappointed. I may feel upset. I may feel rejected. I may feel hurt. I may feel lonely. I may feel if I focus on it, I'm going to feel the emotions related to what I'm focused on. However, I, in an instant, can choose to take my focus off of that and say, listen, I'm not happy about this, but you know what? Overall, in the big picture of our life together, in 20 years from now, will I look back and think, wow, this was the turning point where everything went wrong? It would maybe if I continued to focus on it, but in the grand scheme of things, man, you know what I appreciate about my wife? When she does this, I appreciate the fact that today she got up early and made sure that our kids had their lunch packed and before they went to school. I appreciate the fact that she took the time to have a conversation and to be there for our kids when they come home and they've had a really bad day, and she listens to them. I'm thankful that for just how she shows up in the world to our kids, that she's radically transformed the environment of our home to a safe place where our kids are always free to be themselves, and that she's created an environment where all of our kids' friends want to come over here, which is just incredibly, I focus on those things. And so guess what? When Stephanie does something that maybe doesn't meet my expectations, if I choose to focus on it, I'm going to feel all of the associated emotions that go with that. But in an instant, I can change and focus on all of the amazing things, or several of the amazing things that she does well. And guess what? If I focus on those things, I will feel the associated emotions that go with that. What you focus on is what you feel. That's affirmation number 2 that I wanted to share with you. Affirmation number 3, I will not focus on what I do not want to have happen. Instead, I am committed to focusing on what I do want to have happen. This is when I'm focused on what I want to achieve next, where I'm going to go. For example, I created the Free the Dream conference, and this was just a dream in my mind. This was just a thought in my mind. I would definitely want to create an event where people can come and hear a message that will break them free from what's been holding them back from living the lives for which they were created. If they could just understand what I've learned from all of my study of all of this personal development and personal growth, if they could just learn what I've learned about marriage and relationships and parenting and your physical health and success in business and money and all of it, if they could just learn the techniques and strategies of what we believe and how that actually leads to how we feel and how that leads to how we act, and that's the results that we get in life. And if they could learn how to change their emotional state, if they could learn how to change what they focus on, how to assign new meanings, if they could learn the power of transformational language, I never have a problem in life. I only have unique challenges, you know? I have opportunities for growth. They're not problems. It's an opportunity to grow and learn so that I can help more people. Transformation. If I could just teach them these things, I want to have a conference. I want to host a conference. But you know what? I would not have ever hosted the very first ever Free the Dream conference in 2018 had I focused on all the things that I didn't want to happen. If I focused on the fact of, well, what if I sign this contract and nobody buys a ticket? What if I hire this video production crew and I don't sell enough tickets to cover all of the costs? What if I focus on all of those things that could go wrong? Well, where focus goes, energy flows. What I focus on is what I will feel. If I focus on the fact that this could go terribly wrong, that this is going to be a huge risk, that if I'm focused on all of this, I'm going to feel all of those things. And if I feel like I'm going to be putting myself through massive amounts of pain and suffering and hurt, do you think I'm going to take the actions to make that conference a reality? Absolutely not. See, I will not focus on what I don't want to have happen. Instead, I will focus on what I do want to have happen. As I was at the gym every day, I closed my eyes and I pictured in my mind the look of the crowd, the actual sparkle, the little glint of a shine in their eye from the reflection of lights in the room that surround them, the look on their faces as they are hearing the words that I'm speaking about how beliefs are formed and how they can actually transform their lives by getting leverage and actually watching that. Before the conference ever happened, I literally saw in my mind the entire audience going through a 90-minute goal-setting session. I saw it in my mind before it ever happened. I will not focus on what I don't want to have happen. Instead, I will intentionally focus on what I do want to have happen. And what we focus on consistently tends to show up in our life. All right, number 4. If I want to change my life, I need to be willing to focus on myself. This is very difficult for a lot of people, especially people like me who grew up in a Christian culture, especially if you're in that hardcore evangelical Christian culture like I was. The ones where it's always, you have to put others first, put yourself last. That's what I was taught growing up. It is a lie. It is a lie. If you don't mind, I get a little preachy here for just a moment. I want to tell you this story of Jesus who was asked, what's the greatest commandment of all commandments? And Jesus says, he says, the greatest commandment is this: love the Lord your God, with all your heart, mind, soul, and understanding. That is the greatest commandment of all commandments. Love God. And he says, but the second commandment is like it. If you think he said love others as a second priority below loving God, it is wrong. That's not what he said. No, he said love others as you love yourself. Love others as you love yourself. The assumption is that before you can love others the way that Jesus tells us to love others, that you are in fact loving yourself. In fact, one of the things I don't like about my upbringing is the way that historically Christians treat other Christians. It's not a fun thing at all. My friend Leslie Samuel just posted a question on Facebook the other day, sparking up the controversy like he likes to do every now and then. And he asked the question of his community saying, do you think that a Christian can be a billionaire? And boy, the people who thought, no, that's not possible, and here's why, that you should see the Christians who are attacking other Christians in there. It's like, whoa! But you know what? The reality is that they're actually following the commandment. You know, so Jesus said, love others like you love yourself. And the reality is when you see a Christian who is absolutely attacking, criticizing, complaining about, and condemning other Christians, they're actually following Jesus' command. They are. They're loving others just like they love themselves. Let me just tell you this. If you have a problem condemning and criticizing others, it's probably because, that's how you treat yourself. You're probably condemning and criticizing yourself all of the time. I'm going to tell you, you need to take some time to focus on yourself and learn as much as you can about yourself. Ask yourself every single day, who am I? Why am I here? Look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I love me? But I love this because it's an idea. It's this guy who obviously he looks somewhat homeless or sketchy or something like that. I don't know. He's got all the scruff, but he's looking into the mirror, and in the mirror he sees the reflection of who he's meant to be. That's kind of my interpretation of why I chose this, right? You know, this is a guy who's not meant to look like this. He's meant to say, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to inspire and I'm going to motivate people. I'm going to encourage people. I'm going to go out and make a difference. And this is not to say that you have to dress this way to impress or to make a difference. But the idea is that this guy looks different than the reflection in the mirror. And the question is, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Who are you meant to be? Who are you? Why are you here? You need to be, if you want to change your life, you need to be willing to focus on yourself. Let me tell you how important this is. This, my friends, is what I used to look like. Right here, at this right here. This is, by the way, when I was November 2014, I took this photo and I literally tried to bend down to touch my toes. That was as far as I could go. I mean, look at this. I weighed almost 300 pounds. Now, when I looked in the mirror, do you think I looked in the mirror and said, this is who God created me to be? Nope. I knew it wasn't. In fact, I'll never forget the time I had the opportunity to be on television in San Diego. And I'm like, what am I doing on television? And I'm thankful for this shot here, although I don't have a screen capture of the shot where they have the full body. And let me tell you, it's even worse. I mean, it's like, what? And then my friend Michael Hyatt, I love this man. He allowed me so many amazing opportunities throughout my journey to speak at his conferences. And he also invited me to come to his suite to record a private interview for his Platform University online community, which, by the way, has so many people in it. So many people have seen this video back when I used to be known as the Podcast Answer Man. And I mean, just look at this. I mean, I used to have like 4 chins until it all grew out and it was just one big, huge, gigantic something. I don't even know what you call this thing, but I can tell you this, it was killing me. This isn't who I was created to be. You know, I had to actually look in the mirror and begin to ask myself, who am I? Why am I here? And I looked in the mirror, and when I began to fall in love with myself, yes, I said it. When I began to fall in love with myself, I saw this man in the mirror. That's the man who I saw. And I began to focus on him, the guy that I was created to be. And what you focus on consistently tends to show up in life. Just saying, okay? So we're going to take just a break here for just a moment to answer some questions. But before I do, I want to let you know that there is another Free the Dream conference coming up.
I have followed Cliff's content for a while now, and when I heard that he was going to put on Free the Dream conference, I really wanted to come. I am leaving today inspired, encouraged to do the things that God has created me to do in this world.
I've had a lot of dreams over the years, and this conference has really helped me uncover those. Some of them are deep, and some of them made me cry. Every single day got better and better, and I feel more and more inspired, and I laughed more, and I got more relaxed, and I got more comfortable with the fact that I even have dreams.
It seems like our culture is conditioned to think it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed, and depressed almost all of the time. It's not only accepted, but it's almost expected of us.
Couldn't have come at a better time, because I have a lot of limiting beliefs that Cliff's talks have helped me kind of work through, and realize that, you know, I can be as successful as my brain will allow me to be. And Free the Dream has allowed me to kind of break down some of those barriers that I didn't even realize I had.
It's just been so encouraging to be in an environment where other people have been experiencing the same exact thing, and it's been such a relief.
The way that we relate to the stuff of our life is actually what starts to create our intentions and our motivations.
I know already what I need to do when it comes to marketing, but there's other things that were stopping me from actually executing on that and building the business that I wanted to online. So what I've gotten from this event is how I can reprogram how I think to take the actions that I desire and I want.
Why don't we have that abundant life? An abundance of money will not cure a poverty of soul.
So if you have a dream, that's there for a reason. It's on the inside of you. You need to come to Free the Dream 2019 and just have that pulled out of you. And if you already know what it is, it's just going to help it grow and multiply.
Well, my friends, that wraps up the webinar replay portion of this video. I hope that you enjoyed a little bit of the insights that I've shared on the webinar from, Saturday, January 12th, 2019. After what you just saw, I stayed online for another hour and 15 minutes doing Q&A with those who showed up live to the webinar. I wanted to keep the instructional part of this as quick, short, brief, and to the point as possible, so that you have some actionable additional insights from the Free the Dream message to help you move forward with all of your goals and dreams for 2019. I plan to do many more webinars like this to promote the Free the Dream conference. If you're not already signed up on my mailing list, head over to mindsetanswerman.com/free. Again, that's mindsetanswerman.com/free. Once you get to that page, there is a lot of bold promises that are made if you were to sign up and watch that video. And of course, I'll be following up with you. I'll be asking you, did I deliver on what I promised? And I've already received hundreds of people's responses, and they've already told me about the experience of life change that they've had just in the first few days after watching that video. And the best part is that, well, it's possible for that change to last a lifetime. Anyway, I want to invite you to go ahead and grab your ticket for Free the Dream 2019. head over to freethedream.live. freethedream.live. If you head over there right now, you'll be able to save 25% off of the cost of your ticket. And here's the thing, whether you buy a VIP ticket to the conference or if you buy the standard ticket, either one, I will give you instant direct access to the online course version of Free the Dream so that you can go ahead and jump in there and get into all this instructional information related to the techniques, strategies, and tools that you will need to achieve life change in your life. Not only that, but you'll also have access to my daily affirmation file. There's a goal setting workshop. You'll get the entire PDF document of the workbook. You'll be able to go through and immerse yourself into the study of what it takes to radically change what you believe so that you will be able to start feeling different and you will be able to start taking different actions and you will get different results in your life. There are so many other things in the Free the Dream online course. You get it for free if you head over to freethedream.live and purchase either a VIP ticket or a standard ticket right now. And if you register today, you will be able to save 25% off of the cost of your ticket. I look forward to seeing you in Franklin, Tennessee this September.